Good afternoon and welcome to this week's episode of Monday Night Live, Automotive Show, where we bring you all things automotive, variable ops, it has to do with the car business, bring in the experts, talk about what they do, how they do it, and learning curve, and what some of the best practices are, and things like that. So I'm honored today. I've got two pioneers in the mobile service business. I have Ed Roberts and Mark Mickens. Ed Roberts, you guys know from Bozard Ford Lincoln. Mark Mickens from 80s Benz of Parameter. So we're going to introduce them in just a second, just to give you an update on the needs. About 8 weeks for surgery right now, and I'm better than I was yesterday, but not as good as I'm going to be tomorrow. I'm able to walk fine without pain. There's still some discomfort. There's still some pain, but I'm working through it. I'm doing the physical therapy at home every day, like 3 times a day, and twice a week I go to the outpatient rehab place where they work me over. So it's getting a lot better, and so the knees are doing good. And one thing I want to get into before we go too much further, as you guys may have heard me phrase at times, the live video. And live video is extremely important. And live video is a great way for you to build and engage with your audience. Some of you have heard the story before, where about a year ago, I know it's a year ago because the memory came up on Facebook, where it talked about last year, just before everything got shut down in our yarn business, we stocked up and we bought a bunch of yarn for this big event that they ended up canceling. And so my wife was freaking out. What are we going to do? Have all this stock that we spent money on, we're not going to this event. So I said, you know what we're going to do? Your motto is yarn to the people, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So I said, we're going to do 4 days of marathon live video shows. Every 3 hours, we're going to get online, and we're going to do a live show. We're going to entertain the audience. Our studio wasn't even fully built out yet, so that's where creative camera work comes in. As the show evolved, we showed more and more of the studio as more of it got built out. But in the very beginning, it was like a very small section. All right. So we did 4 marathon shows. That turned into a weekly show called Twisted Stitches on Nitty Gritty Yarn Girl on Facebook. That airs 8 o'clock Monday nights. And we have literally people that tune in from around the world. We ship to every state except I think North Dakota is the only one. So if anybody's from North Dakota and you need yarn, place your order, because I want to put that star on the map. All right. But we ship to Australia, we ship to Europe, we ship to Canada, all over the place. And how did we do that? Because we created a community online, a community where we engage with the audience every week. And when we go live at the spur of the moment, everybody tunes in. We know our audience, we know their first and last name, we know where they're from, we know their story, and we engage with them as we go. Now, we all know every state and almost, several towns in every state have yarn shops. But people buy our yarn because they're not buying yarn, they're buying the Nitty Gritty Yarn Girl. And how that helps you in the car business is if you develop a show, you've got the best thing possible. You've got awesome people. Car people and restaurant people are some of the best people in the world. I know this because I've been exposed to lots of them. And if you create a weekly show where you feature your people, your customers want to know who's working on their car, who's the receptionist answering the phone, who are all the people that make your business click. If you create a show, people will tune in every week. They'll be so engaged with you, they'll only want to do business with you because they'll feel connected. It's like a family. So when the memory came up, I said to my wife, hey, you know what? Why don't we do a marathon this weekend? We'll do a few live shows as an anniversary to last year's. Well, guess what? We did 4 shows this weekend and we crushed it. in about, the shows were supposed to be half-hour shows. They went an hour and a half long, and people wanted to go longer each. And we did more business in these 2 days than most yarn shops do in several weeks. And each show was about an hour and a half. Why? Because we built the community and we're connected. So please, you guys that have dealerships, you guys that have auto repair shops, reach out to me. I will help you set up your weekly show, bi-weekly show, however you want to do it. It's very easy to do. I've done tons of live video. Talk to me. I'll lay it out for you how easy it is to do, and you will get more business from it. So that's my soapbox preaching on live video. Without any further ado, Ed Roberts and Mark Mickens, why don't you tell the few people that may not know you who you are, how you got started, and everything that moves you guys. And we'll get into it.
Sounds good. I'll go first. I'm Ed Roberts, Fixed Operations Director at Bozard Ford.
Uh-oh, we have streaming.
Been in the mobile business for about 4.5 years with having branded trucks now for about 16 months. But just to touch on what Paul said there a minute ago, how successful those yarn shows are. Those yarn shows are successful because of one key ingredient. He has built the audience, but he brought convenience to the customer. And that's what mobile service does. Mark, tell us about you.
Ed, it's an honor to be on with you, my friend. Paul, thanks for having me. I've been in the business for my whole life, I guess. Up to 2017, I owned my own Ford dealership and sold my dealership in 2017 and went to work for Lithia Motors. And in 2019, and I'm at Mercedes-Benz of Paramus in Paramus, New Jersey. Same as Ed, we felt like mobile service and a luxury brand was just a natural fit for us. That combined with Lithia's initiative of Driveway, which is to complete every transaction there is that you can complete at a dealership to be completed in your driveway, was part of what this was all about too. But, I really learned more about mobile service before leaving Ford Motor Company, because Ford was talking about it back then, and it made a ton of sense to me, being in the fleet business like I was for a really long time. And I thought that Ford was a natural fit for mobile service based upon the fleet repair business. And as it turns out, it's not too foreign to say that for Mercedes-Benz either, because of all the Mercedes-Benz Sprinters that are out there that we've encountered and been able to start to build our business with that also. But like Ed and Paul both touched on, it is customer convenience. I think COVID it maybe accelerated the need for all that with people being at home. But here we are, and we were glad that we were putting our plan together before COVID hit. So we're in very good position in our market to do what we're doing currently.
Awesome. Well, let me get to a couple of comments. Sometimes I fall a little bit behind. We got Michael Georgia says, "Hey, Mark, it's great to see you." We got Tully Williams in the house. Hello, all. And Mark Williamson. Hello, everyone. Dana Buxton. Good evening, fellas. And Dana, thanks for sharing the post before. Appreciate that. Jeff Daniel, listen and learn. This is the future that most have yet to grasp. No joke, and no joke. In the car business, we don't always do things because we get up one morning and say, hey, you know what? The customer would really want this. No, we tend to do things oftentimes, not everybody, but oftentimes, because these disruptors elbow their way into our business, and then all of a sudden we find we have to do these things because they kind of pushed us into it. But then there are forward-thinking guys like Ed and Mark who's embraced this and started doing it before anybody had to do it, which is the beautiful thing, because when the rest of the market has to shift, you guys are already in third gear cruising along. You've already gotten past a lot of the learning curve that many have still yet to discover. So Chris Lynn says hello. Chris Lynn is local to me. She is She manages the repair shop where we take a couple of our vehicles, honest as the day is long, and customer service like nobody's business. It blew me away the first time we took one of our vehicles there, and I got a handwritten thank you card from the owner. It blew me away. Mike Vogel, please send me some yarn. Hi, Ed and Mark. Great to see you. Terry, engagement with your product is paramount. It is only ahead of whatever is in second best, my friend. Chris Lynn says, sell yourself, show people who you are, name, face, and vehicle. 1,000%, because they want to connect with you. You know, the people in our other business, they're always asking, oh, how's Paul? How's this? How's that? And when we know their story, you know, there's this one lady, Rita Johnson Cutterman from Eureka, California. Her husband's name is Doug. How do I know that? Because Doug chimes into the show also. So we know all these people. We're connected. And the same thing in the car business. But let me get off the soapbox. Dan Stedham, hi, Ed and Paul, and hello, Mark. Chris Lynn says, yes, he is excellent. Greta Jane, Paul is awesome. Oh, Greta Jane is one of our fans in our Nitty Gritty Yarn group. Mike Bogle, Paul Meyer, you are going for the Amish look with the beard. I guess I need one of those top hats.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, Paulette says I need the shave, actually. Yeah, she says I don't need a top hat, I need the shave. LinkedIn user, oh, it says LinkedIn user, that means the privacy settings or something is not right. It says hello to all. F. Daniel, Mike Vogel, Rogaine, aimed poorly. I'll show you a picture sometime. Chris Lynn says pickup and drop off service are nice stepping stone. Absolutely. And Mike Vogel says the keys to success are being proactive versus reactive, and proactive Kaizen always. Kaizen, Japanese for continuous improvement. Always looking to do better than we did yesterday and better than today. Because with continuous improvement, we're always looking to improve the customer experience. Greta Jane says, I'm a Ford girl. I have the best salesman. We like him so much, we invited him to our wedding. Well, you want to know something funny? Some of my best friends, I've been on both sides of the desk in the car business. And I had customers that lived in my area that bought a car from me. They were an internet lead. And the first time on the phone, they said, you know what? We're going to be fast friends. And we are. And they came to our wedding also. So, all right, I'm caught up on the comments. Now, it used to be, not that long ago, that drop off and pickup was like this, whoa, incredible, Amazon-like. And it is. And it's done great things for the consumer. It's done great things for the dealership. And now, fast forward, mobile servicing. You want to talk about convenience? Let me tell you something. I drive 1 hour each way to my Subaru dealer in Milford, Connecticut. Why do I do that? Because they treat me like family. They give me great service, okay? But guess what? If somebody offered to come to my home to pick up my car or to service my car in my driveway, and I would be all over that, because I get up early in the morning, I fire up my computer, and I go to work. I work out of the home, so I could literally work from early in the morning to late at nighttime. So the drop off and convenience, great. But mobile service puts that on steroids. Now, I'm sure when you guys started, it wasn't the easiest thing. Tell us some of the planning that goes into it and some of the support from the OEM to make that happen.
You want to go first, Mark?
Oh yeah, we had a really robust. I have a great team first and foremost, and that helps. A lot of Mercedes-Benz experience, and that definitely helped me. To lay the groundwork for what we were doing, and we strategized for starting it from the ground up on what could go right, what could go wrong, what we needed to do, and some of the challenges that we thought we would face. Obviously, where we are in the Northeast, weather is a big challenge. So we had to account for the weather. We had to account for small streets and driveways in the Northeast. It's not, so little things like that you didn't really consider, we had to consider. Plus, communication, being able to use all of our equipment with mobile hotspots, et cetera. These are all the things that we, got a think tank together and met. We met 3 times a week for quite a long time, and really created a book of business, and a business plan before we even ordered a truck. So I thought we were in perfect shape. And then the second day we launched, we had an oil spill, and we, with a failure on equipment on the truck. So, you could plan for everything. We didn't plan for that. So, I give a lot of credit to my team. We developed a lot of things with communicating with the customer through My Karma, which I know a lot of people are familiar with, but that's our communication platform. And Ed'll definitely touch on this, I'm sure, and agree with the fact that we also got everybody in the store to buy into it, including, our technicians inside the shop and our service advisors and our parts department who, support the whole operation that's out in the street every day. So, but it did take a lot of planning, and we wanted to make sure that the first time we went out, that it was that we had a plan in place to, pretty much account for everything that we could run into. So,
how long would you say it took from concept to actually, planning everything out, figuring out what you needed equipment-wise, the truck, and then scheduling, things like that?
We started planning early in 2019, and got our truck ordered, got the equipment ordered, and we were ready to launch at the end of 2019. And then, COVID hit and delayed some of our equipment, and delayed some of our staff, obviously. And we ended up not launching until August of 2020. But we didn't stop working on everything during the time. We kept planning, and more things kept popping up that we added to our portfolio. We actually built a PowerPoint deck that we kept adding to, and reviewing. And, and things came up during COVID that we said, wow, we should probably build a tire truck, because that wasn't part of our original strategy. And during COVID, that's one of the things that came out of our planning sessions, that we definitely had to be in the tire business with all the people being at home. So sometimes a lot of bad things happened during the pandemic. That was one of the good things that came out of our planning strategy.
So we got hold on a second. We got Ed says, Ed, what changes to enhance the customer experience during COVID did you make, which will actually be continued post-COVID?
Well, we shifted from when we got into mobile service, we started to take care of fleets, because Ford kind of owns the work world a bit with the transit vans and our trucks, and so we wanted to minimize that downtime, because the company owner is paying those guys to come sit in my waiting room while they're getting their vehicle serviced, and they're not getting the production of them that they should. And so we really focused on driving that message to them that, hey, we can keep your guy working, come to him where his vehicle's at, service it there. He still stays productive. The only expense you have is servicing your vehicle. You're no longer paying for lost production and him to sit in my showroom. COVID kind of forced us to shift to, this is a customer tool as well. Because I was like a lot of others that was doing pickup and delivery for our customers, and we minimize the chance of they're out in the field. But customers don't want to come to the dealership. They haven't for a long time. We've kind of said, hey, you got to service on our terms. So if you want to service your car, you got to come in. And we've put around through COVID that we're going to service on their terms, and they embrace that. Mark said it created the need for mobile service when COVID hit. And I agree with that, except I would say that the need was already there. It created the acceptance for it. And we were just turning a blind eye to it. And now it's kind of opened our eyes. Anybody that hasn't stepped out there and done that yet, I'd say, and hasn't stepped out and done pickup and delivery yet, that's the first step, because that gets you used to doing business off-site. We kind of feel like we have to do business in-house, We don't. We've learned how to deliver a customer's vehicle to them on the sales side, where they never have to step foot in the dealership now, on the service side as well. And like Paul said, he drives an hour each way. That's 2 hours if he doesn't run the traffic. And if he sits there for a couple hours, there's 4. He's going to grab lunch along the way. There's 5. He's wasted a day. He's got if he's somebody that has to punch a clock, he's got to burn a vacation day or whatever else. Well, with mobile service, we can come to you. You don't have to burn that vacation day. That vacation day can be truly vacation, because all you have to do is take a break to come out and finalize whatever needs to be finalized, and everything's back flowing as if he was there all day to begin with and never left. So it certainly brings convenience to the forefront, and I think it better prepares us. And this is getting there a little bit, but I think it will. It better prepares us for what electrification is going to bring to us. With electrification, we're not going to need to go out and change oil. We're not going to need to do a lot of things.
Right.
The things that we're going to need to do with changing tires and changing wiper blades and changing cabin air filters is all the stuff that we can do on a mobile truck. The norm, then it will be the exception going forward. 10 years from now, I believe that more than 50% of our business will be mobile.
I agree.
And you know what's interesting too is that it seems like with electrification, we're more into the software business as well, because a lot of the servicing, if you will, tends to be software updates. So we're going to need some pretty strong infrastructure in as it relates to Wi-Fi and being able to do the updates, while we're there. We got a couple of questions here. Chris Lynn says, yes, there had to be a thing that needed to be done in-house. But do you start with simple services and repairs, oil changes, check engine lights, batteries, and charging system checks?
Yes, all the above. It's a great way to start.
Percentage of fleet to general customer. Is there a percentage?
I was hoping you would ask that. I'm 70-30. I'm 30% fleet. I have more customer, business on the retail side than I do fleet business right now. We're still working, to build our fleet business. We had 0 2 years ago, but about 30% of what we do outside is for fleets, mostly Amazon. We have a couple big Amazon fulfillment warehouses near us, and we've been made some inroads there. But I still think that I'm a Ford guy at heart, and if you're a Ford dealer, I don't know how you can't be doing this, because there's so much out there. I mean, like Mike Gorgia said hello to me. Mike's I'm going to shout out to Mike because that's NYPD. That was one of my biggest fleet dealers the whole time I was in business. So, there's a lot of room out there if you're a Ford dealer, Ed, right? I mean,
absolutely. And we're 60-40 because my 2 vans go Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays to destinations to take care of those fleets. And so we're scheduling on Tuesdays and Thursdays for our customers. But that's only because I don't have the vehicles yet. I don't have enough vehicles. If I have, the demand is there to be probably about the same range you are, Mark, with the customer demand, because nobody says no to it.
No, I think not surprisingly, but kind of pleasantly surprising is the feedback that we get from our customers. It's really pretty phenomenal. Again, maybe luxury brand, the expectation is a little bit higher that you would provide something like that. But now that we are providing it, I think people really appreciate it. So, I think that the customer demand on Fords will grow too. I mean, it's just, it's natural. People know you do it. And, people form shopping habits, Paul, like, you have your yarn business that somebody wants yarn, they're going to learn to buy it from you. I mean, the same people that are clicking on Amazon to buy anything that they need want to have the same, convenience when they want to get their car serviced or buy a set of tires. I mean, there's no difference to buying habits. I don't care what it is. It's only because they didn't have the option before that they didn't click the button for service.
Amazon has turned every business into a retailer. We are no longer garages. We are no longer car dealerships. We are retailers. Now, Chrislyn says, what do you use for a service truck? And I know for Mark, this has got to be more difficult than for Ed, because where Ed is, the roads are a little bit more spread out. I happen to spend some time in Jersey, particularly in Paramus area, And I know the roads are narrow. There's too many cars parked on both sides of the road, and there's short driveways. So it's got to pose some challenges. What do you guys use for trucks?
Well, because of that, and part of our planning is that we went from, we use one of each of what Mercedes-Benz offers as a van. My biggest truck is my tire truck, obviously, because it's got the most equipment. So I use a high top dual wheel Sprinter for that. But our main service truck is a full size Sprinter, but not a high top. It's a little bit shorter wheelbase, so we can get into those places. But we run around with two mattresses also, which is the Transit version, the Transit Connect version of a Ford, and we're able to just do just about everything that we need to out of those two vans in tight spots in city atmospheres that are around us, because we do have a couple pretty large cities around our area that we like to service. We have customers there, so the smaller vans are able to get in and perform most of the services that we need to do. So we had to think about that. That was a big. We couldn't go with just one size van, and once we chose to go with the four vans we have, we had to really make sure that we could equip them to do as many services as we could. Obviously, the Metros can't do what some of the two other biggest vans do, but they can do most of it.
Now, what's cool is that tires, that's your gateway to retention.
Correct.
Right? There's so many dealerships that have kind of given up on the tire business, more and more getting back into it as the need for growing our retention increases. But was the tires like one of the first things that you planned on as far as mobile service, or did that kind of evolve with all of it at the same time? And how did that affect your tire sales business?
I think tires were part of coming out of COVID. We had a Mercedes-Benz in our area, believe it or not. We sell about 800 tires a month, but sometimes it's not always good because of the low profile impact damage that we see in the Northeast on a Mercedes-Benz. So it's not always pleasant. It's not always a pleasant sale. But we were doing so much of that on a roadside assistance basis that we said, this has to be a mainstream business for us going forward. And we actually did a pilot program that we're finishing up now with Mercedes-Benz Dealer Tire and Karma to create a shopping experience through our website where people can go on, shop for tires, put them in a basket just like Amazon, get a labor quote and schedule an appointment all through Karma without ever leaving the site. So it came upon us pretty quick to do tires because of the brand that we're dealing with and the need, the need, and we didn't want to lose the sales, quite frankly.
And something, that tires, people that go to these tire aftermarket retailers, right? You're camping out there for the day because it's usually there's no appointment. You kind of show up and there's already 100 people there by the time you get there at 8 o'clock. And it's total unknown as to how long you're going to be there. So the concept of me being able to buy my tires online and then having you come to me while I'm inside working, man, that's brilliant. How about you, Ed? Tell us about your trucks.
I don't do tires yet. We have talked about building a tire truck, and I've looked at Mark's. We haven't built one yet. Talking about the trucks, we have two Transit, two dual axle Transits, high top. Going forward, I have a third one of those coming, and then we'll do Transit Connects after that because I'm not going to do oil or tires in the Transit Connect. I can do anything else that these trucks can do without carrying all that weight. So you really just got to pick what you're going to do. I'm a little more blessed with the roads being a little wider down here. I'm also a little more blessed with weather playing more into my factor here. And we might get a 10-minute shower, but we hang out in the van for a couple more minutes and then it's gone and we keep right on trucking. I don't have a blizzard coming through. So it plays.
And then the sun's out.
Yes, and the sun's back out. It's muggy as heck by then, but you can push through that. But tires, going back to the tire deal, the tire is a huge retention tool. And a lot of people still say, well, but I don't need to do tires. I don't want to do that. Well, what truly happens with tires is when a vehicle needs it, it's out of warranty. And when it's out of warranty, they can go anywhere. And when they go to buy those tires somewhere, the person that sells them those tires tells them, just think how expensive they get at the dealership when they're checking out or whatever else. And, I can take care of anything here. You're past your period. We can take care of all your needs. Well, there's more tire stores out there than there is car dealerships. So that place is probably already more convenient to them. So it's only work. That's why they will stop there and got them. So it becomes convenient for them to go there. Now they're going there. And when it's time to replace that vehicle, there's no loyalty to the brand. It's whatever they see out on the road. Well, that's a good looking car. I want to go check that out.
Yeah.
But when they're coming back to your store, you have that opportunity to remarket to them every single time. So a lot of people don't understand the loyalty piece of that, but that's what creates it right there.
And with so limited opportunities today, I mean, what are you going to fix on a car today? Tires, brakes, batteries, right?
Software updates.
If
you have the tires off, it's very easy to measure the brakes.
Exactly.
And for us to be in a mobile tire business, it's not cutting edge. All these, if you click on any one of these competitive online tire dealers, they have a solution to come to your house, put your tires on. So, we're not breaking ground. We're trying to regain our customers, I feel,
Oh, wow. Right. Jeff Daniel says mobile fits more brands than you think. Extractors instead of pulling drain plugs, hotspots to perform recalls and updates, etc., etc. Most OEMs are embracing it as a way to do business going forward.
Yes, and those hotspots are needed, but they do create challenges. We have 2 hotspots in our vans, and they're both unlimited. But when they hit the 50 gig mark, it gets slowed. So what will take it as a 20-minute update now becomes an hour and 10 minutes to update. So
yeah, it's depending on the file size.
Yes.
So again, being surrounded by a bunch of smart guys that I am with Mercedes-Benz, we've been able to pretty much segregate what we can and cannot do in that regard on the road. And my BDC girls that make the mobile appointments, they pretty much know if somebody calls up and says, I have such and such a recall, that's a download that we know can't be done with a mobile hotspot. We're not able to do that quite yet, but for the majority of it, we can do it. So
I have a question for you. So now I know internet providers oftentimes, depending on the provider, they have part of their service, if you will, is the ability to, when you're out and about, to tap into their network via other subscribers. So if I'm out somewhere, I could tap into somebody else's Wi-Fi very securely. Is that something that you guys have the ability to do as well, or do you rely solely on your own Wi-Fi that you bring with you?
I'll touch on that for a minute. We have a lot of other Wi-Fi's, and Xfinity is the one here where they got hotspots all over the place, but we try not to, because I can't confirm that that's not going to go down, or that there's not going to be a hiccup while I'm doing an update, and we lose modules when there's any kind of hiccup through that download process. So we try to do it with hotspots, but if it's just communication, if I'm just creating an invoice or whatever, communicating back with the store or something like that, then we'll try to connect to Wi-Fi. But I try to stay exclusive to the hotspot because it seems to be the most consistent when we're out, because I am a little bit more rural, and so our signal strength isn't as good as it could be in some areas, and that might be a strength there for you, Mark. I'm not sure, since you're more
not much. I mean, when you're dealing with proprietary information, which we are most of the time, to go out on somebody else's Wi-Fi, we really don't, we don't do that. The only time that we might do that is if we have a little bit of a unique business going on, I think, with wholesale parts, because there isn't anything on a collision part that Mercedes-Benz sells that doesn't have to be programmed. So we found a little bit of a cottage industry going to body shops in our area instead of them coming to us after buying a component and doing the programming at their shop instead of ours. And we sell that with the part. So it's been pretty neat to that. But we've run into some situations where we've tapped into Wi-Fi in one of their shops, but not too often. I'm with Ed. We stay as close to the hotspot as we can.
Now, speaking of parts, that's got to pose an interesting situation also, because you have how many different models, right? You have a lot of different models, and they don't all use the same parts. So now, just like a parts department has to be outfitted, I mean, the average parts department in a regular store, mom and pop store, is 300 grand worth of inventory, right? Or what we like to call frozen capital. In a mobile van, you're somewhat limited in the servicing. So how do you determine what the stocking levels need to be? And is that something that's on a rotational basis? Or do you kind of figure, okay, so here are the vehicles that we do, here's the bulk of the work that we do, so here's a list of those parts. How do you handle that piece of it?
I'll talk on that first, and then Mark can go. For us, I don't stock a lot of inventory in the vehicle other than fluids and filters, but I plan the vehicle every single day. So if it's going to a fleet customer, like tomorrow morning when it goes to a fleet customer, there's already a cart sitting there with the stuff that should take care of all those vehicles. But Tuesday comes along when we're scheduled to go to customers' houses. We know we're going to see a 2-year-old F-150 that we're going to service. I'm going to take wiper blades, and I'm going to take all the other things that I could possibly sell with that, so that if I do find something, cabin air filter or whatever, I don't have to come back. I don't have to reschedule. I can go ahead and do it instantly on the spot. But so at the end of the day tomorrow, on their way back in with the van, they'll stop at the gas station, they'll fill it up with fuel, they'll come back. There will already be a cart, because we've already communicated with the parts department of what we want to put in that. And that is put on that truck for inventory for Tuesday. When it comes back Tuesday, what's still on the truck goes right back in inventory, because I hadn't billed anything to the truck, and we've billed those parts to the invoices as we used them throughout the day. So for us, every day is a different rotation, but it's planning. It's like creating that customer prepare package when you have an appointment.
So it's like skydiving. Every day you have to pack your chute.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Same exact strategies as Ed. We do the same. The night before, we know what we're going out to service. Mercedes-Benz services are very specific, 10,000 mile intervals, A service, B service. So we pretty much know if we're going out for a C300 with a B service, we know the base parts that vehicle needs. The only thing we added, and again, I stock oil and filters on my vehicles. And the only thing that we've added, maybe, and Ed, probably you would do this also, I'm sure. I'm not as rural as Ed, and I have 2 hotshot delivery wholesale vans that back up my mobile service too. So, if one of my mobile techs is out on a job and they don't have something that they didn't anticipate, we obviously hotshot the part to them to complete the job. That was part of our original business plan. So, I mean, again, that's not groundbreaking. That just makes sense. But that's how we handle it.
It may not be groundbreaking, but there's so many that aren't doing it.
Yeah.
Do we know what the percentages of dealerships that do mobile servicing?
For Ford, it's about 216 dealers.
How many?
Let me rephrase that. 216 that's ordered a van. Probably only about 60 of them has a van. Out of 3,100.
Wow, that's a small number.
Very small number. And most of those are in Florida. And Florida, Texas, California is probably Arizona is probably some of the easier ones to sell because of the flexibility of climate. I could certainly see a dealer having a tough time putting together an ROI that he's comfortable with in the North.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's 383 Mercedes-Benz dealerships in the United States, and there's 72 committed to doing mobile service. Not many doing it currently, though. There's 72 committed. Not too many people out with a truck yet. We're the only one in the Northeast. So, and again, the Northeast has, you got some challenges. And again, return on investment is a question that I get a lot. And, so far it's been good, but, weather interruptions could hurt us, but it's not a reason not to do it though, and again, in a bigger picture, for us, being a Lithia store, we have to fit into what their long-term philosophy is, and driveway is a big part of it. So, eventually I'm going to I would have had to have some type of mobile solution and pickup and delivery solution anyway. So, I think we're way ahead of the curve for our own company at this point.
Are there other Lithia stores that have that as well?
Yeah, they do. I mean, Lithia is a little bit more active with other brands. We have some sister stores in our area. We have a BMW store right near us that does a really great job, and a Honda store, believe it or not, down in central New Jersey. That's a Lithia store that does a great job with mobile service. So it's going to be, you know, pretty much mandated. You know, if you're a Lithia store, you're going to have some type of service in the driveway. You know, because sales is. So we're right behind them.
Well, they're pretty serious because they're number 3 on the list of top dealers. So out of a
Yes,
lot of dealerships, that's
we
pretty
keep
impressive.
we
Let me
keep
get to a
having more
couple of
every time I
comments.
look.
Chris Lynn says our fleet customers are some of our favorites. I agree with that because it's easy. Mark Georgia says Mark was very customer satisfaction driven. And Jim Sabino from All American Ford, do you have a separate rate for mobile service? Are you set up to take payments on the trucks?
We do not have a separate rate. We charge what we charge in the shop at this point. Um, you know, it's been suggested to me. I don't know, Ed, if it's been suggested to you. You know, to charge a premium, but I'm trying to build a business, so I didn't go outside of what you know, we would charge if you normally came to the store to have the work done. And we do obviously we use My Karma, which is a platform that a lot of people are familiar with, but we use My Karma for everything from sending the video MPI to the customer and accepting payment in the same link. So yes, we accept payment in the driveway without the customer leaving their house.
So for us, it's the same rates as well. We do have a convenience charge that we will add to it in certain situations. We state it in all occasions, but everybody has the right to waive it. For any fleet customer, if we're going to see more than 4 vehicles, we waive whatever convenience charge there is. It's $39.99. But I will tell you that is currently being revamped. I'm revamping our entire pricing for mobile to where, because I'm a Ford store and a Lincoln store, that we have 2 separate dealerships for those clients. And my pricing at the Lincoln store is different than the pricing at the Ford store. Well, I'm going to create the platform where my mobile truck pricing is different as well. So for Mark Service A, it's $99.99. Whereas in my quick lane, it may be $69. But on the mobile truck, it just becomes part of the price. So it's going to have its own menu-driven pricing probably by the end of April.
And in our business, that's in the blink of an eye.
Yes.
Yeah.
Years happen in the blink of an eye. Mark Williamson says, how do you compensate your mobile service technician? Salary, hourly, flat rate, or a combination of both?
I'll touch on that first. Mine is pretty standard, and if anybody wants to shoot an email or whatever, I don't mind sharing any of that information, but I pay them $800 a week salary, and then they have production bonuses. Their first production bonus is they need to turn more than 20 hours a piece per week. That's 50% productive. That doesn't sound like a lot, but I'm picking up incremental business. And so they get a little bump at 20 hours, they get another bump at 30 hours. And then if they want to come back to the store and pick up a few hours, because there's a bump for them if they get 40 for the week, they're probably not going to get 40 on the truck unless there's a recall that they can go do 100 every couple of days on or whatever. But they can always come back to the store and help us finish up a job that somebody didn't get to, or one came in late or whatever else. I don't care where the hours come from. I do require, let me rephrase it, I do care where the hours come from. As long as more than 50% of them come from the mobile truck, they can pick up whatever hours, come in and pick up a Saturday. And so they would get their biggest bump at 40. My cost per hour is certainly, that's my highest cost per hour throughout the dealership, but I don't look at it as I need it to be this or that. I'm picking up incremental business that I probably would not have had, and I am retaining a customer, making them loyal to our brand long-term, and I can't put a price tag on that. What I do try to do is make sure I'm not going backwards. And my break-even point for these trucks is 3.7 hours. Well, if the guys are turning, I got 2 guys on each truck, and if they're turning 20 hours a week, they're turning 8 hours on that truck, 4 apiece every day. So I don't have an issue with the truck breaking even, but I'm just not going to generate the same amount of gross. And then the last piece, I'll talk on that. A lot of times we get wound up in, well, the margin's not where it needs to be. We're not holding the same margin there. I can't pay a single deal that comes in that dealership with percentages, but I can pay them with gross dollars. And I'm generating gross dollars in the mobile truck, but not with the same margin. So you got to lose sight of that margin number and look and see, is there a return on investment? Am I outrunning my cost?
It's part of the overall strategy. There's some you're going to do better on than others, but you need components of everything as part of your offering to be able to be competitive and to build your retention machine. Because without retention, we really have nothing.
Exactly.
How about you, Mark?
Same as Ed. I have guys on salary. They do have bonus, markers based on, if they upsell something when they're out on the road. And we also have a bonus for them in the shop that is pretty substantial at 45 hours. So like Ed, if they're out and they don't, do that much on the road and mobile that week, they come back into the shop and they can work just like they did in their regular job before. I'm with Ed too. I know what my break even is on my trucks, and we're currently outrunning that, to use Ed's words. So as long as we're doing that, it's definitely worth it because I don't think that we're even to the point yet where we're going to be. And I think the trucks will be profitable, sooner than later. But you have to build a business first. One of the biggest mistakes that we make in our business we always try to make the money before we do the work. So it's always been, how does that pencil? That's always been the first comment somebody says to me, and how does it not pencil? I mean, if you never see the guy again, how does it? It's never going to pencil. So
Right.
You have to give it a shot when it comes to that first. But percentage wise, we're doing fine as far as what we would do as a, if that person came into my service shop and had an express service done by an express service technician, or I'd go to the house and do it with a mobile truck, it's relatively the same. So, it is keeping a customer, and I really think it's keeping business, and maybe I'll penetrate some new market share because that's really what we're looking for. And that's when you could start equating dollars to your investment. Once you start expanding the business. And at this point, I feel like we went into it not to lose business, more than anything else. I don't think anybody ever takes a look at the erosion of their customer base as opposed to, growing their customer base. You have to be sure that your customer base isn't eroding because you're not providing the right services and the right conveniences for your customer. That gets lost a lot. So, that's what I think we're doing at this point.
Yet the reality is that it is an erosion business for most stores. I mean, when you go out of warranty, 7 out of 10 don't come back. When you look at the numbers across the board, now I know that not every store is the same, but across the board, 18 out of 100 go back to their selling dealer when they're out of warranty. That's not a lot. And to your point of, our question is always, how does that pencil? You're right. We always do look at that. Brian Benstock, whom I see as a visionary in our business, and a guy that, he's a smart guy. He's a guy that, there are 3 letters that he mentioned at one of our fixed ops roundtables. I don't know if you guys remember this, but ROL. Remember ROL? Return on learning. Right? Return on learning. There's a value in learning by doing. So as you said, as long as you're outpacing it, which is good, but you've also learned a tremendous amount along the way that puts you in a very good position. And you see it as, I don't want to lose business. And you kind of have to do it to retain the business. And guess what? If you guys come to me and take care of my servicing and you do an awesome job, well, guess what? All of my friends are going to know this, all of them. And some of those people will also then come. So it's a great way to grow your business. So a couple of comments. Nathan Williams, hello, coming to you from Toronto. Greta Jane says, would be nice to have this service in Vermont. In Vermont, you think Florida's spread out? Vermont, you say, hey, how far is that? Oh, just up the road a piece. 30 miles. 30 miles up the road a piece. I've been to Vermont. There's nothing that's close by. at all. The corner store is in another state. We got Joe Perez. Good evening, Paul. Good evening, Ed. Looking forward to a great show. Thank you. I hope we bring the value. And Jim Sabino says, do you offer night or weekend mobile service hours?
I will offer service anytime it is requested. We will find a way to adjust schedule. If it fits, we'll make it work.
Yeah, I agree with that. One of our challenges to even get to be able to do any business with Amazon was the crazy schedule they're on. So we've definitely adjusted to whatever time we had to do that business. And we do have 365 24/7 roadside assistance for one of our trucks. So we do cover, breakdowns and things like that all the time. Not necessarily a midnight oil change, but we can adjust. We've been to several Amazon facilities, 5 o'clock in the morning to get the work done. So yeah, the answer is yes.
I'll give you a couple more examples on that, and then you can hit some more comments there, Paul. Last year, we were supposed to have the Republican National Convention here in Jacksonville, just north of St. Augustine. Everybody was going to stay in St. Augustine. So and it didn't get canceled until about 10 days ahead of when it was supposed to happen. So we had made plans with the municipality to cover them, and I had people set up for different schedules. The mobile trucks was going to be available 24 hours a day with different tires ready for vehicles or whatever else, because we didn't know what that was going to bring. And then just 2 weeks ago when TPC was here, same thing. We covered the entire time that the police department was covering the TPC. We was there available for them for whatever they needed to overcome. And it wasn't that we just sat there. They use us because they hit curbs. They run over stuff in the road. They do different things and pop tires, whatever. When that kind of stuff is there and they raise up, they raise to cover everything, things are going to happen and it's needed.
Now, speaking of everything, I seem to recall a picture of you guys, your mobile service van at a helicopter or something. What was that all about?
We will make the attempt. Our thing is try not to say no. And if the helicopter needed, they had a technician, aviation technician there that replaced the AC compressor on it, and they needed to be recharged. Use this 134A. Well, we all have a machine to do 134A. It's not the current refrigerant that's out on new models now, but we all have stuff to be able to do that with. So why can't we go do it? It tells us how much it needs and whatever else. So we went out and serviced the air conditioning on it.
Well, you have the refrigerant, and I guess the fittings are probably all the same, right?
They are. Use a regular set of gauges, used our machine. It took a little more refrigerant. It took 11 pounds of refrigerant, where typically it takes a little over a pound and a half, maybe 3 pounds if it has dual units. But yeah, it was, and then look at it. It's overcoming the obstacle and finding a way to say yes, rather than say, oh, no, we can't do that. Never done that before.
And at the cost of refrigerant today, that's not a bad problem to have.
Exactly.
Now, Dana Buxton says, Mark, what are y'all doing about alignments with tire sales?
Great question. We have coupons on the truck with a direct line to. We have a again, because of our high instance of tire failure and rim failure. I have one young lady service advisor that handles all of our tire claims and tire needs for our customers, and we definitely give a discount alignment coupon with a pickup and delivery schedule for that customer to come in and have the alignment done at a reduced rate if they buy tires on mobile service. So that's a great question. That came up earlier. You're going to do tires. What about the alignment? The minute that customer buys the 4 tires, the alignment coupon goes directly to them, and we'll do a pickup and delivery on the car at a later date or whenever they want to schedule it.
What's so interesting about alignments today, too, is that the car doesn't always need an alignment. So I'll give you, for instance, we just bought out our lease on our Outback. The car has 42,000 miles on it. I put 4 brand new Michelins on it, and I drove it to a store where it went through an alignment checker, and everything was well within specs.
That's correct. And if you hook a machine to it, it's about the same amount of work to check it versus setting it. So you still go through the same process. but it's just the insurance of protecting the investment of those tires.
Absolutely.
On investment, nobody looks forward to going out and buying tires. So if we can protect that investment and minimize the number of times they got to do it, it's worth the investment of doing the alignment.
Tully Williams says tires are key. And Mark Williamson, how about ROI? Do you see your mobile service operations as a profit center or more of a customer convenience retention tool that you just try to break even on? I think we covered that one because I'm a little slow on the comments. So my apologies, Mark, but hopefully you got the answer out of that. Mike Vogel, mobile tire service can work for dealers if they realize it's a strategy for long-term retention and not concerned about low gross. It would be even bigger using pickup and delivery options. And Jeff Daniel says, Tully Williams, hours are the key. We all know Tully is all about the hours. And if anybody wants to know about a great pay plan for techs, talk to Tully. He's got, I think, probably one of the best in the business. Dan Stedham says, another shelf in the parts department. Absolutely. And Mike Vogel says, Ed Roberts, smart move. Incremental hours increase equals more sales / gross / net. That's what we take to the bank. Chris Lynn says free advertising while they're driving. That's true, right? Greta Jane, he's not lying, LOL. I think that's about my everything is like far away in Vermont comment. And Greta Jane says, except we don't say 10 miles away. We say, oh, it's 15 minutes, LOL. It's not 15 minutes. It's a lot further. I've been there. Steve Chesson, he says, yes, fast emergency service is important. Chris Lynn says 11 pounds. I guess she's talking about the Freon, right? Or the R134A, sorry.
Yes.
Earl Sticks Brown, I commend your vision, efforts that elevate customer engagement, pencils every time. I agree. Ron Usher, my favorite, actually retired tech. Although he's not really retired because he's gone into something else that involves mechanics. How do people or places feel about insurance? If God forbid something could happen at the job site, who pays on their property? That's a good question.
Our vans are covered on our garage keepers insurance, just like if it was done in-house. You got the garage keepers that goes with the van for the work that's being done, but then you also have insurance on the vehicle itself. So it depends on the incident on who would cover. Thankfully, knock on wood, we haven't had to try that on either one of them. And if there's an accident along the way, that's different insurance than the garage keepers.
Mark,
Yeah, same.
Same.
The garage keepers an extension, and thank God with Lithia we're self-insured. So if anything ever happened, we'd have to take care of it. But garage keeper liability and the insurance on the trucks would probably cover just about any incident that you would have.
Joe Clementi, hashtag Coach Joe. Ed Roberts, your foresight vision is admirable, but it's replicable as well. Yeah, just, people have to embrace it and jump on the bandwagon.
Thank you, Joe. That's it. It's just finding a way to do it. It's finding a way to overcome the obstacle. It's easy to say no.
A lot of people spend too much time getting ready to get ready when all you need to do is look, here's the plan. This is what we need. This is what we don't have. This is what we need to put together. Let's make the commitment and do it, right? Just jump in.
Absolutely.
Chris Lynn says, I want to hear his tech pay ideas.
I think we covered that. Salary plus bonus.
Salary plus bonus. And Tully Williams says 5G is faster. But 5G is not out everywhere, is it?
It's not. We do have it here, but it's I wouldn't call it any faster yet because the signal isn't as strong yet because it's just now coming here. I don't know what you have there, Mark. But yeah, 5G is hitting, and where you got good signal, it is very fast. But the signal is very strong in most places just because it's just a new network.
In our area, we're very well covered. We have 5G. Again, I'm not too far from New York City, so technology and the ability to use our hotspots has really not been a problem for us.
Wow, I can't believe it's 9 o'clock.
Time flies when you're having fun.
An
That's
hour
right.
doesn't seem like 60 minutes. An hour seems like 5 minutes. So I want to thank you guys. You've shared some invaluable information. I hope this gave our audience a good idea as to some of the things that they might want to consider doing in their stores. Right? There's enough business to go around. And by sharing and by helping each other with knowledge, with information, we all get better. And let's face it, we're part of the same automotive world. If I'm a consumer and I have a bad experience at garage A or dealership A, in my mind, they're all the same as a consumer. So the better we all are, the more we all benefit. There's no reason in the world why 7 in 10 customers don't go back to the dealer for service. There's none. That's something that I think we have to take some ownership of. And the aftermarket is really chased very strongly. So I appreciate you guys dropping all this knowledge. Oh, we got a couple of comments here. Michael Georgia said, excellent presentation. Good luck. Dan Sedham, great job tonight. Thank you, man. I love this show. It's kind of taken on a life of its own. And we're bringing some good stuff to the audience. If there's anybody that has any questions, guys, put your contact info in there. If they want to reach out to you, by all means. And I thank you guys for supporting the show. If you see value in it, please share it with your community.
Thank you so much, Paul.
Thank you,
Ed,
Paul.
pleasure being on with you, Ed. Good luck with your
Likewise,
business.
Mark. Yes.
And I hope you guys have a successful week coming up. And we'll see you next week on Sunday Night Live. Thanks for watching.
Okay, Paul. Thank you.